How are you doing? Welcome back.
Hi, thank you. I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Hey, so I just wanted to follow up. We're going to have about 15 minutes today to talk. Um, Last time we met, you were looking at getting insurance. You were going to go with Colorado, Connect for Health Colorado or Metro. What ended up happening
I ended up going with the school health insurance and paying for it with the student loans that I got for the fall.
there? Okay. I
Or I
know,
guess for the spring.
I know that was a really tough decision to make, and there was a lot of factors to take into consideration. Do you mind if I take a couple notes today for our
No,
session?
no, that's fine.
Great. That really helps me kind of just keep on track with everything we're talking about. Um, so how would you like to use our time today, our 15 minutes?
Um, I I got insurance, which was good, and I'm glad that I had it. My husband doesn't have insurance now too, which is another issue. But I think that we're going to deal with that at a later date because some other things have happened that I would like to talk about today. So I was in a car accident in November, which was pretty bad. My car was totaled, and I have been having some pretty severe back pain ever since.
That sounds scary.
It was
Rachel.
really scary. I had never been in a car accident that bad before. And so dealing with that now is really stressful. And I'm really thankful that I had insurance so that I can now go to the doctor for these things, but that now that means more bills as well. So I'm kind of having a hard time dealing with all of that together, just the stress, the pain, and like the frustration.
Sure. So it sounds like, besides the fact that that was really scary, that was the first time that ever happened to you, that there's a lot of repercussions from this. Not that any of those were self-created. Unfortunately, sometimes when bad things happen to us, there's things that we have to do afterwards.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like your stress level has gone up. Your medical bills have gone up, obviously. And it sounds like your physical health. You stated my back hurts.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more? Because I kind of want to explore. I'm really hearing like three really key issues happening here. So the stress level. So that's affecting like your emotional well-being. And I'm hearing your physical health. So your back hurting. That's got to really, I imagine, and I want you to tell me more about this. I imagine that's affecting. You told me you're going to school right now, that you're working, and that you're doing an internship. So I imagine that's affecting those realms of your life. And besides the stress and the physical, when you were talking to me about everything that's going on, you mentioned financial.
Right.
So now all of a sudden there's these medical bills. Thank goodness, you had a big accomplishment on getting that health insurance and making that tough decision. And it sounds like it kind of happened right in the nick of time based off of what's currently going on.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we can explore a little more in depth these thoughts that you're having. How often do you think you're thinking about being stressed out?
All the time.
All the
I
time.
don't know if I could put a number on it. I could try.
Okay.
But I also ended up having to get a lawyer for the accident because it was somebody else's fault. And that insurance company, it's actually my insurance company too. We have the same company. But they, only about a month after I started to get treatment, they started calling me, emailing me, and then calling my husband, even though he wasn't in the accident, telling me that it was time to close the case. And I was still in severe pain. and had only been getting chiropractic treatment for a month. So that started the stress of like, I'm still hurting. How am I going to get the treatment I need? It's not fair for me to have to do this when it wasn't my fault. So getting the lawyer was necessary, but also stressful because now it's like I have to follow, like what is recommended by the doctor. I pretty much have to do now in order to, in the end, hopefully get some sort of settlement to pay these bills. So now it's chiropractic and physical therapy, which is stress financially, of course, but also like time. I'm like, how do I have time? As you mentioned, school and an internship and work. How do I have time for chiropractic appointments, physical therapy appointments, and then to do these exercises at home? So all of that comes together into affecting my schoolwork for sure, and thinking about stress all the time.
Totally.
Mhm.
One other thing I'm noticing too while we're meeting is that you're sitting a little bit like this. Does it hurt to have your back, like to be sitting for too long and have your back against the chair?
Yeah, my back is kind of flared up today, and so I'm trying to like relieve some of the pressure on this right side.
Totally.
So I'm kind of fidgety.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Do whatever, like while we're meeting and stuff, do whatever you need to do to be comfortable too.
Okay.
So as far as like this thought tracking, would you say, and I'm going to kind of take you into a skill with your permission and explore this a little bit deeper, your thoughts.
Okay.
So if I'm understanding right, and correct me if I'm wrong, these thoughts, so the thoughts about the stress level, the thoughts about the back pain, the thoughts about the financial stuff, is getting in the way or at least making it harder for you to do the things you need to do, like the schoolwork and the internship and work.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm wondering if we can kind of get a baseline of where you're at today with like the thoughts on each of these, and we can track them. And that's one way that really we can look at maybe getting you to a place where you're not thinking about those things as much, if that's something that you want to do in our work together.
Yeah, that would be great. I think it would be good to clear my mind, or at least some of it, so that I could focus more on school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for each of these, we're going to break them up into realms, right? So the emotional, that piece, what I'm hearing you say is, I'm stressed out. How many times, and I'm going to give you a few different options, like a scale, and it's cool. It's hard for us to know, like, oh my gosh, I thought about that thing 253 times in a day. Like, if we're not tracking it, it's hard to know that exact number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you different ranges, and you stop me when you think that we're in the range of where you're experiencing that particular thought.
Okay.
So I'm stressed out. Are you thinking about that 0 to 50 times a day? 50 to 100 times a day? 100 to 150 times a day? 150 to 200 times a day? Or
I'd say 150 to 200.
150 to 200. Okay.
I feel like it's also a feeling that I have all the time, and then it's when I'm actually like in my head, like I'm so stressed out right now, but I'm always like feeling stressed. Like there's kind of a difference between like acknowledging and saying I'm stressed and feeling the stress. I feel like the feeling of the stress is constant.
Okay.
And then like the thought of I'm stressed right now, or I'm gonna be stressed about this, or I'm stressed about this assignment. Those things come up a lot more too. Like we're tracking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the feeling of stressed out is happening even more than 200 times a day.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty like constant.
Constant. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in the physical realm, I want to give you some options here. So we could either track the thought of my back hurts, which is something that you mentioned, a physical symptom you were talking about earlier, or we could track the feeling of being stressed out in your whole body. Now, one thing is, if it's constant, it's going to be a little harder. We're going to try to break that down. But which one of those would you rather focus
Probably the stress, because I think the pain is being dealt with through chiropractic and physical therapy.
on?
And I have good days and I have bad days. There's certain things that make my back feel worse than others. So that one, I'm not constantly thinking my back hurts. Like, I have days where that might only be once or twice. I think the stress is the biggest issue.
In the body.
Yeah.
So this one we're going to do a little bit different, especially because it's hard to tell exactly how many times you're feeling that. So this one, I am going to kind of I'm going to give you a statement, and I want you to choose strongly agree, agree, somewhat agree, somewhat disagree, disagree, strongly disagree.
Okay.
And we're going to track this based on your answers. So this question, I want you to kind of think about every day. So the question would be, I feel stress in my body. So on that scale that we talked about of strongly agree, agree, and instead of somewhat agree, let's go kind of neutral.
Okay.
Disagree, strongly disagree.
Okay.
Where will you put yourself at on that scale today?
I would say agree.
Agree. Okay. And then the last thing that we talked about was the financial piece. How am I going to get all these medical bills paid? How often, how many times a day do you think you're thinking about, how am I going to get these medical bills paid? 0 to 50 times? 50 to 100? 100 to 150?
I'd probably say 0 to 50.
0 to 50, okay.
Yeah, because that's something that really could add to my stress. But I know that I'm like taking care of what I need to in the moment. It's more of like it adds stress of hoping that in the end I get some sort of compensation and a settlement to help me pay the rest of the bills, because it wasn't my fault. And that's the frustrating part, is that like I had nothing to do with it. I didn't cause it, but I'm dealing with all this other stuff on the back end. So I try not to think about that and just be like hopeful that that's why I got a lawyer. He's going to take care of that piece. So I try to keep that one in check. But of course it comes up.
So it sounds like with that one, your hope about the future and, you know, your confidence in your lawyer is helping already with keeping that one lower than maybe some of the other ones.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't even realize that until I said it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So one thing, you know, I'm curious about is, tell me about a time that, you know, you had a crisis maybe in the past, and the stress or the thoughts of stress weren't as pervasive as they are now.
I would say never.
Never. All
Never.
right.
It's
It's okay to say never.
Yeah, that's just kind of how I am. I get stressed.
Sure.
And once I get to like a certain point, that's it. I'm stressed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, and it sounds like, you know, one thing, just you coming in here and meeting with me today and exploring stuff, you're taking the steps, right? You're preparing and figuring out ways of how to reduce your stress.
Yeah.
So that's incredible.
Thanks.
So, what do you think about the frequency of these thoughts? And I'm going to pay less attention, if that's okay, to the financial piece, because that was the least frequent right now.
Right.
You know, we're kind of taking a baseline measurement of these things, but that was the least frequent. And it actually sounds like, and I'm going to let you tell me about these two, which one is the highest priority today for us to work on further, whether it is, so the thought, getting that number of thoughts down, because right now it's at 150 to 200 a day, getting those thoughts of I'm stressed out down further, or trying to decrease the feeling of stress in the body, or feeling something different in the body maybe instead of the stress. Which one is more important to you right now?
Maybe reducing the feeling of stress.
Reducing the feeling of stress, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, there's things that we can work on together to do that. And so I'm wondering if you would be okay with us making like a goal today, and then that's something that we can check in with on each other, like next time we see each other. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so a goal, and one thing that can kind of help us out is if we're able to make this goal pretty specific. So our kind of broad goal is, I want to feel less stressed out in my body.
Right.
If we make it a little more specific, and we break it down a little bit, it's going to be easier for us to see if we actually have achieved that goal. So I'm wondering if you would be, how do you think? Let me ask you this question. How do you think we could do that? Because it needs to be something that you think would be achievable, that you could do.
Just in terms of the goal, like what could make it more specific?
Something that we can check in with on each other next time we see each other.
Maybe like keeping track of the times in the day when the feeling of stress is overwhelming. Or trying to, either that or like a couple times a day, trying to remember to jot down like how I'm feeling that day stress-wise on a stress level, like tracking for a while of seeing like how I'm doing on this day throughout the day, maybe like morning and night, like how did I start out the day, how did I end the day, kind of thing, to make it more specific of maybe just like a day-to-day basis.
Which one sounds most attainable to you out of those two? So you had mentioned, the first one you said keeping track of when the feelings are overwhelming. So like maybe using a 0 to 10 and keeping track every time you feel that in a day. Or jotting down how you started the day feeling, doing the same thing like 1 to 10, and then how you ended the day feeling 1 to 10 as far as level of stress.
Maybe the first one.
The first one? Okay.
Yeah, because maybe then we could, for a future session, work on getting the number of times I feel overwhelmed in a day down. So now we'll just maybe acknowledge and track how many times in a day I am feeling that overwhelmed on the 1 to 10 scale. I think that sounds like a good place to start. And
what's a way that you can keep track of that? What's something, let me give you some ideas. So it could be a piece of paper, it could be in your phone. What's an easy way for you to keep track of that?
Probably in my phone.
In your phone?
Yeah,
okay.
I always have my phone.
And how long do you want to do this for? What's going to be our duration? So we talked about doing it every day and tracking every time you have a feeling of just overwhelming stress. So you mark that in your phone. How long do you want to do this for?
Maybe for like a week.
For a week? Okay. And boy, time flies. We got 5 minutes left. How crazy is that? But you know what's great is that we can really continue to work on these things in our next session. So let's basically summarize this. And I'm wondering, sometimes it's really helpful if we sign off on stuff together. And the reason why is it just helps me remember, it helps you remember, and something about being humans. If we sign off on something, we're more likely to do it. I'm more likely to check in with you on it, and you're more likely to do it.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Are you okay with? Basically, I've created a goal based on what you said. So we're going to keep track of feelings all day when feelings get overwhelming. Put it into the phone. And we're going to do that for a week.
Okay.
Does that sound like a manageable goal? Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I'm going to sign right here. And then if you wouldn't mind signing right there for me.
Okay.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's just take a few minutes to wrap up here. So we really talked about a lot today. There's been a lot that's happened since you last came in. There was the car accident. There was, feeling stressed out from all those things. Your back's been hurting you.
Yeah.
You've got the financial bill. And so today, what you stated the goal that you'd like to work on is just feeling less stressed out, feeling less stress and tension in your body, having those overwhelming feelings. So we made a goal today that you're going to basically track these for a week, every day, when you're feeling overstressed, overwhelmed, so above your normal threshold. You're going to make a mark or just keep a number in your phone.
Okay.
And then after a week, you're going to stop taking those measurements. And then I'm wondering if we can set up another time to meet so we can check in about how this went.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'd like that.
Excellent. How about 3 weeks from today? Is this a good time for you to meet?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Well, let's set the appointment then. And here is an appointment card for our next appointment. And then
Thank you.
let me know if anything comes up between then and now.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.